What's up, everybody, and welcome to Monster Monday Review, the show where I review Walking Dead, Being Human, Teen Wolf, and I bring that information to you on what we saw, do a quick little recap, what I think about it, and then I want to hear what you guys think about each episode. This past Monday on The Walking Dead, it was interesting because I had assumed it would be a Daryl-focused episode, but it looks like it focused on everybody else, hence the title being called Inmates. It starts off with Daryl, and we kind of see where he is right now, and then it doesn't really focus too much on where he is in the show. It just kind of reviews, you know, this is where he is now, he's alive, in addition to possibly what, you know, kind of how he's feeling, because clearly from the first seasons to where he is now, definitely he's opened himself up to a lot of the other characters. He's been a more trustworthy guy. And he has that feeling that, you know, everybody counts on him. Well, not everybody, but at times people count on him to get the job done, and that's what he does. We then see Tyrese with the two little girls, with Lindsay and Mika, and then we also see Judith. So Judith is still alive. That's great. You know, you don't want to kill a baby, because that's kind of terrible. I mean, how would you feel if your baby was dead? I'd be pretty upset about that. So, interesting. But this part gets weird as hell, because Lizzie goes like psycho. Now, we've been seeing, you know, the last several episodes, especially with when Carol was teaching everybody about how to protect themselves. She seemed like a frail character, and now she seems like a total sociopath, to a point where it looks like she was getting ready to kill Judith. Like, she was about to do it. And then it shows Tyrese and how he is with, you know, he's with the three girls. He's taking care of them, and while they're running in the forest, and there comes a scene where Mika kind of shows a little moment of maybe not strength or weakness, but, you know, we see her grow. You know, we see a child, you know, naive child, grow very quickly in a very serious matter. Tyrese tells her that, you know, if you see a zombie or a walker, you run, you know, and try to stay together and stuff like that. And it was really interesting to see Mika be a little nice about it, you know, all things considering with the kids and stuff like that. It comes to a part where Tyrese then hears a noise, and he goes to find out what it is, and he sees a group of three, or rather, I guess two at the time, were being chomped on by walkers. And he decides to help. And right before things go bad for both the kids in one scene, then flips over to Tyrese, and then things are going bad for him, Carol comes back. Like, what, bitches? She comes back. And what's going on with her is apparently she went back to the prison. She tried to follow everybody, and she saw Tyrese and the girls, and she tried to catch up with them. Lost them for a quick second. They caught back up, and so she saved the little girls from that incident with the walkers, and then was able to catch up with Tyrese and help him out. The group then continues forward on the tracks based off what one of the gentlemen said, who ends up getting chomped on, and they find a sign that leads to a location called Terminus, which could possibly be the new location that the whole group is gonna end up, possibly the new safe point. The last part, or I guess the last story arc of this episode, was the whole thing with Maggie and Glenn. Maggie is with Bob and Sasha, and right now you see Maggie kind of hurt and in pain, not sure what's going on through her mind. And then there's this whole scene where there's the bus there where she thought Glenn was, and she wants to make sure that everybody's there. And she just came off watching her dad, Herschel, get his head chopped off, to now a point where she lost her husband. So things aren't really working out in her favor. There's a moment where she gets on the bus and she kills the last walker that's inside, and it doesn't really show the face, but it does show Maggie crying, possibly laughing at the end. So maybe, you know, they don't really tell, they kind of show what she's going through, and it's possible that she either is happy, so happy, filled with joy that it's not Glenn, or she's totally upset that she killed Glenn. Like I said, it kind of looks like she's laughing, so maybe it might be the the latter. But, you know, we'll see what happens on the next episode. And then Glenn wakes up at the prison. Apparently he goes back to the prison after trying to find everybody else and trying to find Maggie. He wakes up there. He kind of starts to crumble being alone again. And then he's like, you know what? I'm gonna man up. We get action figure riot gear Glenn. He gets all his gear and he tries to head out. And he ends up encountering a character known by Tara, who was actually part of the governor's new group at the new campsite where we see the governor, you know, changed. And Tara, she's very apologetic. You know, she clearly didn't understand how bad things really were until she realized that a lot of innocent people were dying for something that she clearly, you know, knows and believes in her heart that was wrong. And so Glenn and Tara, well, Glenn kind of tells Tara, I need your help. I don't want your help. I need it. And that kind of is a bit of redemption for Tara as she decides to go ahead and help him out, to kind of repay for what they did. At the same time, right at the end of the episode, we get a glimpse of Abraham's army. Abraham, of course, being the leader with Rosita on the side, and then Eugene. Based off the Talking Dead after show, they basically said that they really try to focus on the cover of the comic book, which I thought was interesting when they showed those characters. So I thought that was awesome. So what can we expect to see on the next episode? Well, definitely we're going to get in a little bit more into who Abraham is, what his army is all about. Right now, I'm not on par with the comics. I think I'm a couple episodes, behind. And it kind of, based off what I saw and based off the preview of what we see next episode, right now it's kind of hard to determine if Abraham's going to be like the governor or if he's going to be very similar to Rick's character where he wants to help people. He just may want to do it a militaristic way. He could be, you know, he could be really hard. I doubt he's going to be a soft character. So that's going to be interesting to see. We're also probably going to figure out where Terminus is, and I kind of have a feeling that Terminus is where Abraham's army is. So that's going to, you know, probably going to happen all together in the same area. And then it also, in the sneak peek, it also looks like we're going to see what Michonne's up to. So we'll probably get a little bit closer to everybody getting together. Or, you know, Michonne, Carl, and Rick probably will be in their site with everybody else at Terminus or with the army. So that's going to be interesting to see. And definitely I feel like we're still going to get a little bit more in depth with the characters, because right now, like I said last episode, everybody's broken, and I think everybody's going to start healing with the next episode. Then on Being Human, everything gets weird when Sally's brother comes in. He basically tells the guys, you know, I'm going to sell the house that you guys have been renting. And during the whole time, it really focuses on her brother. I forget his name real quick. Robbie. It focuses on Robbie and basically his relationship with Danny, who was Sally's husband before she died. And we really see that Robbie actually hated Danny, and we also see that the relationship that I guess apparently was rocky between both Robbie and Sally. And then when that progresses into, you know, what happens later on at the end. Now, at the same time, there was a little very quick scene that we see Lil Smokey, who is this girl that Sally's been seeing every time she time travels after each spell. We see a little scene of her, and apparently she's more psycho than what we thought she was. On, I believe it was last episode, she seemed like she may have been the victim, and now it looks like she may actually be like part of this whole like witchcraft thing. So it's going to be very weird. Aiden is hooking up with Susanna. You know, based off the drinking binge we saw from last episode, he's like super deprived. He needs more blood, and he finds out that he's out of blood at the house. He tries to go to a blood bank where Susanna meets him. She takes him to his bar. They start making out, and then they break down a deal. You know, Aiden has told Susanna that he has killed people. He's enjoyed it, and clearly Susanna, being the Buffy the Vampire Slayer character that she is, doesn't dig it. So they make a deal. Susanna has to stop killing vampires so long as Aiden stops drinking. And clearly, at the end of the episode, Aiden loses. He went out with some chick that he sees, just walking around. And we go back to what we saw in like the very first episode with Aiden, where he calls up Bishop and is like, hey, I need your help for a cleanup. So that was kind of weird to see. And then really weird, at the beginning of this episode, Josh wakes up next to Alpha Mark's wife. And she basically says, I think our wolves got busy last night, and I kind of like it. She seems to be very kind of trusting. She seems to be like the type of person who's all about honesty, and so it shows later on that she actually tells Alpha Mark what happens. But Alpha Mark, being the alpha that he is, goes ballistic, and they start fighting with Josh, and then we see Josh turn by will into a werewolf. And that was interesting because Aiden stated last episode that he hasn't seen that happen, where a wolf can turn at will. So I definitely think that that's going to play on to the next episode. I definitely think something's going to go down, especially with him fighting with Nora. Something's going to go down where Josh is going to turn again, and this time he may not be able to come back. He only came back because Nora was there. So what I think might happen is he might go out on the street, he may try to fight some vampires or something, and he's just going to turn. There was a little moment where they try to patch things up with Nora and Josh, but it doesn't look like it's... Just predictions, it may not go so well. Because right now she's kind of like, I don't want to be near you. I don't really want to get into this. Which kind of sucks because, to be honest, they just got married. They just hooked up. And they kind of were thrown into the wolf's den. They were kind of thrown into the wolf's den with their feet running. And so we didn't really get to see them really so much explore their marriage and their relationship, because there was the whole thing where Josh was a human for one day, was werewolf all the other, for the rest of the month. So it's kind of weird to see how that's going to happen. But again, I think we're going to see Josh freak out. I definitely think we're going to see Aiden slipping up again. And remember, like I said, the actor Sam Witwer describes it as Aiden being an alcoholic. Not so much a whole vampire thing, just that he's an alcoholic and that basically he's relapsing, which is, I think, is going to play a very big part. Susanna, are we going to see her kill some more vampires? I'm pretty sure. She kind of hints at it near the end of the episode. I don't remember if we see it or not, but she definitely hints that she definitely wants to go down that path. And then Robbie dies at the end, and if you guys know anything about the show, you know that Sally can make things happen so long as she's there. But because she was time traveling, seeing Danny and Robbie, who was at the house causing all that chaos and damage, and who killed Robbie? I don't think it was Sally. I definitely think it was Little Smokey. So there may be a scene next episode where Sally and Smokey go head to head, and it's weird because Sally actually says to bring in the witch. So when she comes in, we're gonna see a three-way bout. Is it gonna be just Sally versus the witch, or is Little Smokey actually gonna take a presence on the next episode? So I think that's gonna be interesting to see. Lastly, on Teen Wolf, this episode I think was really cool. Now, me and my best friend, we've been through a lot of things, and to see that really happen in this episode was something very interesting. And it's funny because in real life, the actors Tyler Posey and Dylan O'Brien are very close. And I've read on several interviews and on several like panels and stuff like that they do at Comic-Con. They really have a really strong brotherly connection with each other. And when they translate that on the show, it really shows. So this episode, it was kind of a two-parter. Two different story arcs going on. On the one hand, we have Scott and his pack trying to find Stiles, and once they find him, Stiles is apparently like, I've been out of it, but I think I planned something crazy. And they kind of go through each thing that supposedly he planned. The coach gets shot, everybody thinks he was going to die, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. There was the whole thing with the explosion at the police station where it was meant to kill Mr. Stilinski, but it kind of backfires with Derek and Mr. Argent there. So that was something kind of weird. And it was also weird was their pair up. Their team up was not something we've seen before. And to see them kind of at each other's throats, it was kind of funny because they were literally at each other's throats for like the first season and a half. So that was kind of cool to see now. At the same time, Stiles is always giving off this weird vibe, especially now that we know that he is the Nogistune, and that he had that freak out last episode. Then on the second arc, we have Lydia and Allison, who apparently are going to Peter for training. Peter and Lydia have had quite a chemistry, with Peter trying to kill Lydia, Peter making Lydia a banshee, Peter trying to kill everybody else. It was a whole big thing. And for for Lydia to go to Peter, Allison was so kind of like iffy about it. But it actually turns out that Peter did help. But it also, we discovered that Peter is a father. It kind of looks like that Derek's sister may be the daughter, truthfully, I think Derek himself might be the son of Peter. I think that would be interesting. But right now they kind of hinted at being the sister, so that's something we're going to have to see. But Peter looks like he's missing something. Like, he apparently has no knowledge of this, and that's why there was the whole thing with Talia, with him wanting to find out where she is, what's going on with her, because he knows that a memory was taken. And I think Derek actually finds out what this memory is maybe 2 episodes ago, when they stick Peter's hand inside that cup. So that was interesting. At the end of the episode, we find out that Stiles was planning everything all along. With every werewolf, you're able to take pain from a victim, and that's really all that happened in this episode. Scott kept helping out different victims. He helped out the coach. He helped out, I believe, the one person in the hospital. He helped out the police officer who got hurt, who, by the way, I think is going to play a bigger part in the next episode, because he's been shown a lot this episode, and then referenced a couple episodes ago. Actually, I think last season he was referenced. So he may be playing a big part. He's definitely needs to be noted in the next episode. But with Scott taking everybody's pain and helping them out through their pain, Stiles, as the Nogistune, says that he feeds off people's pain, and you've been taking my pain. And so he takes her from Scott, and then we see this really dark moment with Stiles. And Stiles is like the goofy sidekick. So for him to go completely like psycho and possibly gonna kill Scott, that's, kind of like, whoa, unexpected. I definitely think it's gonna be awesome. And then of course Kira, the Kitsune, there may be a big battle between her and Stiles, or of course the mom who summoned, I believe, the rest of the Oni. I feel like there's going to be a big action scene in the next episode. Now, another thing I forgot to mention was Deaton is also featured in this episode really early on, where he takes the plant that was actually the name of the episode, the Letharia Vulpina, I believe is what it's called. And I apologize if I mess up the wording there. And so what he does is he takes a little bit of the plant and he basically stuns Stiles, and that's kind of where the episode ends. So definitely I feel like something big is about to happen next episode. I definitely think there might be a big battle of some sort involving Stiles, possibly the Oni. If not, it could be Scott versus Stiles. That's going to be interesting to see. So definitely we can expect some kind of big battle going on next episode. Alright guys, so that was it for the review. Let me know what you guys think. What are your predictions for the next episode for The Walking Dead, Being Human, Teen Wolf? What do you guys think is going on now? What do you like about what's going on right now? And what do you want to see later on? Let me know. Post all your questions and stuff like that downstairs. And until then, I'll see you later.